Yeah, buckle up, guys. This is going to be an interesting week. Welcome back, everybody, to the energy forecast for week 50. That is the 4th till the 10th of December. My name is Jona Bryndis. I'm an energy healer, energy coach, energy therapist, and I am talking about collective energies. If you are energetically sensitive, if you're a highly sensitive person, if you're an empath, for you, this will be more like a report about the things that go on deep inside of us that sometimes don't match up with the energies from the outside, and also sometimes aren't really clear to us whether those are actually ours or whether those are energies that are coming in from the outside. So welcome to the energy update for week 50. I called this energy update Truth Fairy with a little smiley face on the side on purpose. This is probably one of the most revealing and transformative weeks of this year 21. Many of you who have been listening to these energy updates already know what's coming, in the forecast for December has also announced that this weekend, basically this new moon weekend here with the solar eclipse, if you are listening to astrologers, you will see this confirmed, is a fundamental revelation energy, basically, that many of you can already feel. What does this feel like inside of us, and what does it mean for us? So first and foremost, and this is important for you, if you are feeling a little deep, a little low, a little sluggish, a little tired, or maybe not so little, that these energies are extremely powerful. So our energy body fully ingests those and works with those without our mind necessarily understanding or knowing that this is going on. So it's not as mystical as it sounds. We have more senses than just our 5 senses, and on these different channels, with these different senses that we can perceive things with, these transformations are already going on, and they're pulling us into a deep letting go, a deep allowing all that is not true to dissolve. And as we just practiced here in the daily Sacred Self meditation on Facebook Live, tuning into our true self, tuning into what is true to us, is not as easy as it might sound. It requires a certain mental discipline, a certain emotional discipline, and also a physical discipline. Yeah, oftentimes things that we would call routines. So for example, having certain times of the day where you go within, where you turn everything off, your TV, your phone, your computer, where you sit with nature maybe, or where you lay down to meditate. This can be part of your physical routine and discipline to allow yourself to at least connect with that true voice in you once a day. If you are suffering from this sluggishness, this tiredness, this exhaustion, all the way to your physical body, then understand what that means. Understand what the message is here. The message is for you to stop all that you're doing that is not leading you to truth, to freedom, or more love in your life. It is a true self-intervention. A true self-intervention is basically something faded that comes in, that keeps you on your path. And even though we have something like free will, and this is a very, very big problem for us, to align, our needs and our wants and our ideals with another, there still is something like a fated sort of destiny, I want to say, for all of us. It's not that this is coming from some entity or from some outer thing. It is actually your soul task, your soul purpose, something that you more or less chose before you incarnated, from this pure spiritual being into this physical being, the soul with a body. And the soul with the body has marching orders. It has a certain, fate is not the right word. It has a certain destiny. There's a reason why we came into this body at this time. And this time, where almost the entire planet is responding to one impulse only, namely fear. Be it through, the new COVID strain, be it through the fear of mandates, the fear of lockdowns, the fear of issues with your career, losing your job, or maybe not being able to pay your bills, you name it. I don't think there is any fear that is currently not triggered in people. And the problem with that is that fear basically disconnects us from our true self. It inhibits it. It's like a choose inhibitor. And for us to be able to pierce through this, to go through this layer of darkness that is unfolding around us. And why do I call this darkness? Because the source of all darkness is the fear of the unknown. And so all that we can see right now is the unknown. And it is being blasted at us through media, through you name it. Every person you talk to, more or less, is in fear. And to be able to call this darkness and to call this out as it is part of this true self-intervention. To understand that fear is the ultimate darkness in us. And if you've been following Transcodes, you know that I have plenty of workshops, courses, programs, coaching, personal, group, public, individual, all kinds of teaching ways, learning ways, that help us to see through this by training our inner perception, our inner truth detector. And right now, guys, in this week, as rocky and as exhausting as it might be, you will get a lot of support for this piercing through darkness, piercing through your own fear. And this is the reason why I called it Truth Fairy, because it is a word game, but it is something that comes in for us, and it's linked to our own true self, the mediator between my soul self, that spiritual being in me, and the 3D self, that ego being in me. It's coming in and it's giving us support. So what we are observing here collectively is basically the abuse of that fear. It's a direct and systematic abuse of power that we are experiencing right now. This is also part of the reason why we are so exhausted, all right? Because it plays on our physical nature as three beings. It triggers our autonomous nervous system. It triggers fright in you. The thing is that most don't see is that this fright is not actually real. All right, so it is something that comes to us via words, via pictures, Yeah, speaking directly to our subconscious and creating anxiety in us. And anxiety is something that is deeply ingrained in our nervous system. So once it's started, yeah, once our body goes into this fight, flight, or freeze mode, our emotions and our thoughts are no longer our own. And so a big part of this week's energies here, regardless of what we're seeing on the outside, yeah, on the outside we see terrible things and massive, massive resistance. But on the inside, it reminds us on our spiritual being. It reminds us, yeah, via our true self, that we're actually here with something much greater than our physical experience. And so, while our collective is going through all this protests, war language, trying to restrict our freedoms, trying to restrict truth, trying to restrict love in all these different ways, we are getting pushed to the limit of what we want to experience, to the point where our true self, like a truth fairy, intervenes. And so it comes that these dark times are the times of the greatest spiritual awakening here on this planet. Yes, I'm sure some of you will roll their eyes now and say, well, but what about this, and what about that, and what about that? Oh yeah, I see all of those. And if you've been following me, I've been warning you about all these things for years. But the truth is, when we get pushed to our limit, we have to make a choice. We realize that we have a choice. And so it comes that this darkness, this confrontation with untruth, comes to us as a spiritual experience. And now we need to understand how to pierce through this. Now we need to know the practical steps. All right, the way this is working is that everything feels totally exaggerated right now. This is when you're in a state of anxiety. Everything feels overwhelming. Everything is completely out of proportion. It's too big. And that's why we shut down. That's why we go into coping. That's why we, want to check out. What we need to realize now, is that to get past this mind, body, emotion, autopilot, all right, that gets turned on when somebody pushes your fear button. Somebody's pushed your fear button, guys. You're not your true self anymore. You are body mind right now on autopilot. But to pierce through this, you need to understand that you have the power to do that. You have a consciousness that can witness all of this. That consciousness is a higher pay grade, than your body, than your emotions, than your thoughts. And the problem you are having right now is that you identify with your body. You identify with your emotions, with your thoughts. You forgot that you are a soul self on a mission. So your job in this week is to focus on pushing through this. And how do you do this? You've heard me say this here in the last weeks already. You need to form a physical, mental, and emotional discipline, because you're up against your own nervous system, if you will. For you to decondition yourself from that autopilot, that fear autopilot, you need to systematically deprogram yourself from that. And now you might be asking yourself, how do you do that? Well, number one, you need to recognize that truth is always in you. All right, there's a sense in you, there's a part in you, it's the true self, all right, that knows the difference between truth and untruth. But you also have that nervous system, yeah, and conditioned voice in you, that false self-critical voice, that is also talking to you. So you hear these things simultaneously. And when you identify with your thoughts, when you identify with your emotions and your body, you're only responding to the part in you that pushes you into your fear, and that is your false self-voice. That is not your true self. Your true self will never talk to you in a way that is degrading, that is minimizing or belittling. It does not sound like a parental voice. It sounds like the voice of a lover, who is supportive, empowering, and inspiring. So what we forget is that this voice is there too. We have to turn these other voices, that are degrading and fear-mongering, we have to turn them down, and we have to focus on our true self-voice that is always there. And this is how we learn to trust in it. So right now, the biggest problem that we're all having is that we're doubting ourselves. We're doubting all our choices of the past. We are so confused, which is part of anxiety, that we no longer know who we truly are. It is basically doing the worst thing that can be done to a person. I've talked about this in conjunction with mind control and narcissistic abuse. It's robbing a person of their own identity. It's robbing you of your identity because you question yourself. My tip for you is, so many times before, is do not question yourself. Question your perception. Question the way you perceive it. Because that part in you that perceives it, your body, your nervous system, your emotions, and your mind, they are way out there on angst autopilot. You will not be able to get into your higher expression if you allow yourself to work on autopilot. So recognize that what we are experiencing here is psychological, etheric, spiritual warfare, with the purpose to distract you from your true inner power, to distract you from that spiritual being that resides in you that can inform you about what you're dealing with, truth or untruth, darkness, and the light that makes you grow, expansion or contraction. So whomever you want to attribute this systematic fear-mongering and manipulation, mind control, etheric warfare to, I leave this up to you. I've made many workshops here that talk about dark and light forces and how to differentiate that, and who represents this in the 3D here in our world is irrelevant. Right now, what you need is the courage to pierce through this and understand that if the dark is so full of itself that it shows itself in the open as it does right now, it speaks and reeks of fear, because what we are about to experience here as a collective is the biggest global transformation. And is this a joyful event? No. Anybody who has experienced awakening knows that awakening is messy. When you take the red pill, it's messy. You have to take an inventory. You have to deal with truth. And so don't take my words as a sort of kumbaya, everything is going to be fine, you don't have to do anything message. No, I'm basically saying the opposite. I'm saying wake up and push the right button. Because if you're not choosing anything, you're going to get pulled into this darkness. And this is what you're already feeling in your body. This is already going on. Because for you to withstand this, you're going to have to train your body to resonate on a higher vibratory frequency. You can no longer eat this food. You cannot no longer ingest these energies that you surround yourselves with, because they are pulling you into your own contraction. They are pulling you into lower vibratory things. So you're going to have to make a conscious effort on all levels of your being. Physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually, to discern what is expansive for you and what is contracted for you. What raises your vibration and what lowers it. And you have to become a conscious chooser. You have to know what does what. And this takes a little, to figure this out. This is up to you. There are some things that can be learned just through sharing and listening to other people, finding out what other people do, what works for them. But be aware of the pitfalls there, because it's not about becoming perfect. It's not about becoming a better person. No, it's about becoming a conscious being, a conscious human being. More about what it means to be a conscious human being in my other publications, in all these different communities where we can experience this from within ourselves, the different courses, the different programs that I offer at Transcodes. Please understand that this transformation journey, even though we're going through this collectively, is a highly individual journey. This is what I am specialized on, as energy coach, as energy healer. Check out my website, transcodes.com, for online courses, for programs, for practices that you can join, to have that inner experience of your true self, some of which are free here on Facebook. We do this every day. We have meditations on Skype still, and YouTube. So you can find this work everywhere you go. If you are serious and if you know that you need a serious boost here in these next weeks, there is a one-time event that I am offering starting on Monday, December 6th, called the Daily Boost. It is an energy event. This is only for people who are really serious, who really need to break through something, and want this energetic support. So in that way, I become the truth fairy for 2 weeks. So it's a 14-day energy boost every day, and it comes with energy coaching to help you decide on your path what these things are that you need to filter out. Okay. Welcome to a new world, a world in which you perceive yourself no longer as this autopilot human doing, but a true human being. I'll be honored to be a guide for you. Obviously, there's many other guides that can help you with this as well. So let's do this together, guys. I see you again on Wednesday on Facebook Live for the Daily Sacred Self that I personally facilitate. And I hope that you get through these next days with a very, very clear inner compass for what is true and what is not true. Love you guys. See you soon. Bye-bye.